Germany 2025, politics in crisis. Energy concerns, inflation, existential fears, conflicts around the globe. Most recently, the government's term ending prematurely. Is politics still engaging the people?
Politically, I'm very, very disappointed.
We wanted to understand people's concerns and hear possible solutions, so we set out across Germany.
I'm concerned we're falling behind in training skilled workers, bringing enough into the workforce to revitalize our economy.
Housing policy should be a higher priority.
I find this overall shift to the right in Europe very problematic.
Is Germany drifting apart, or is there hope? Beyond populist slogans and simple answers. With a new parliament now being elected, we visited people who have taken action. First stop, Munich, Bavaria. Picturesque, wealthy, expensive. In the city centre, luxury boutiques, high-end goods. However, the downside is also visible. It's simply too expensive for many.
Property prices and rents should have been capped a long time ago. No one can afford it anymore. All of us. We're just scared of what might come next.
It's getting harder and harder. Munich is already extremely expensive.
We met with a woman who's very familiar with those changes. People living in poverty in Munich can come here, to the food bank, for help.
I have to check how things are looking with the supplies.
Munich's food bank helping those in need with the most essential resource. Each day, over 20,000 people come to collect food donated to the city's food banks. Hannelore Kita co-founded the aid organization.
30 years ago, poverty in this form wasn't even an issue. Today, we're being increasingly faced with the reality that we have to provide for ever more people in existential distress. We experienced that firsthand at the food bank. This never used to happen.
In Germany, anyone living alone on less than 1,380 euros per month is considered at risk of poverty. That's currently a reality for around 16% of Germans, roughly 1 in 7. To help them feel welcome, the people who come here are referred to as guests. Hannelore Kita knows many of the regular visitors.
Nice to see you, Mrs. Schneider.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
Iseta Schneider first came to the food bank 3 years ago. She found herself in a desperate situation following a divorce, and despite her part-time job, she relies on the food bank for support.
This helps me a lot, especially at the end of the month, when it gets really tough. I have other expenses too: rent, kindergarten, food money for kindergarten. I have to pay for all of it myself. Being able to come here every Saturday is incredibly helpful.
Many who come to the food bank are from middle-class backgrounds, forced into poverty by life's misfortunes. Hannelore Kita tells us that despite the growing number of people in need, the volunteers' readiness to help hasn't waned.
There are more and more people coming. You can really see the demand. It's shocking. You see it in grocery stores, too. Everything is getting more expensive. I notice it myself, too. My grocery shop bill is going up.
Since 2020, food prices in Germany have risen by over 30%. Many, like Iseta Schneider, have work, but only part-time or in low-wage sectors. Their wages aren't enough to live on. The donations here provide much-needed relief.
It even maybe allows us the little morning luxury of grabbing a croissant for my daughter on the way to kindergarten.
You just have to take the step and come to us. At first, it was much harder. For many guests, the shame was a very big barrier. But no one should feel ashamed of being poor. You can quickly find yourself in a situation where you need help.
According to surveys, 3 out of 4 Germans, 77%, see the gap between rich and poor as the biggest problem for Germany's social cohesion. On our journey, we increasingly asked ourselves why the issue isn't playing a central role in the election campaign. We realised that many people on low incomes feel unseen in their problems and in their distress. Yet it's not just the rising food prices putting people under pressure. Another problem? The hunt for affordable housing. Long lines at apartment viewings, desperate families, frustration over exorbitant rents. A situation everyone here has some experience of within their circle of friends and family. Especially in metropolitan areas like Munich, rents are rising and housing is becoming increasingly scarce. We met with Till Amelung. He has been sharing an apartment with 2 friends but is currently looking to get a place of his own. Easier said than done.
So this is our shared apartment. This is one of the rooms. It's actually quite nice with parquet flooring. Here's the kitchen. And this is my room.
An IT specialist, Till Amelung, has a stable income. We would have thought that would give him a decent chance.
I'm a well-paid professional, yet I'm having trouble finding an apartment because I refuse to pay the outrageous prices. I don't see why I should finance some landlord's Porsche. Rents should reflect real value. At a certain price point, they just don't anymore.
By rule of thumb, anyone earning a normal income who spends more than 1/3 of their salary on rent risks slipping into poverty. One solution? Germany builds more housing. More apartments would slow the rising rents. The outgoing federal government had set a goal of building 400,000 new apartments each year. It fell consistently short of that. The most recent figure was only 245,000 apartments. The main reasons: high construction and energy costs, but also a glut of bureaucratic regulations.
I do also believe that it's not just politics that should be held accountable, though. To me, the rental market itself represents a form of predatory capitalism and, in a way, reflects a society devoid of solidarity, where people will take the shirt off their fellow citizens' backs.
We asked ourselves what more solidarity in the housing market might look like. In Munich, we found housing projects that are exploring alternative solutions. One of them especially for single women. Christa Lippmann was one of its initiators.
We founded this project 32 years ago. It's the oldest of its kind in Germany and was originally meant to alleviate housing shortages. We never expected things to become as dire as they are now, 3 decades later.
High rents pose a particular risk of poverty for retired women. In the interim, Christa Lippmann has established 7 shared apartments for senior women. We were allowed to visit one.
Finding this group of women to live with was a godsend for me. I was in a desperate situation, urgently looking for housing after a separation. This wasn't just a financial safety net during an incredibly difficult economic time. It's been a major source of support in my life.
The housing project receives support from the city of Munich, and demand is high.
Women are especially at risk for poverty because their pensions are often lower. They've typically spent fewer years in paid employment, through raising children or caring for elderly relatives. It's truly heartbreaking when a woman has worked her entire life only to end up with a tiny pension.
Studies have shown that the income difference between men and women widens with retirement, a phenomenon known as the gender pension gap. These women have found their own solution. Every woman in the housing project has her own affordable one-room apartment, but it's about more than just that.
One time, Veronica wasn't feeling well and needed something from the pharmacy. I said, okay, I'm feeling fine. I'll go get it for you. It's things like that that make this so wonderful, right?
Veronica always knows where to find good deals at second-hand stores, so we're all well-dressed. Some people think we're wealthy, but we're not. We just know how to make the most of what we have.
Taking action instead of waiting for politics, we were impressed by how these women have taken control of their lives. Still, their hope is for more political commitment.
Housing policy should be a much higher priority. Politicians should take a look at people living on a pension of just 1,300 euros per month, how little they have left after expenses, how much they have to sacrifice. Maybe then we'd see a different kind of politics.
What does feeling unheard do to people when the gap between, for instance, rich and poor grows ever wider? And what's it like outside the big cities? We left Munich and headed northeast to Saxony. Here we're met by Christoph Lohmann. He's a rural doctor in the community of Kallenberg. Fewer than 5,000 residents, and with ever more moving away, hardly any pubs or shops are left. To reach the next larger city takes nearly an hour by bus and train.
My biggest concern right now is the shortage of doctors. We already have thousands of patients to care for, and I just hope I don't burn out.
Lohmann is one of the region's few doctors. While many doctors have retired and not found anyone to take over from them, he has remained. We accompanied him on his house calls.
We're heading to Krumbach, a district of Kallenberg. Today, we're visiting the wife of a vet who struggles to make it into the practice herself. What's important is that when I visit, it improves people's quality of life. They know someone cares.
After completing his studies, Lohmann took over his father's medical practice.
So, klingeln wir erstmal, wie sich das gehört.
In terms of doctor-to-patient ratios in Europe, Germany has an average ranking, but there's a significant disparity between urban and rural areas. In this region, a doctor like Dr. Lohmann is already treating over 4,500 patients a year. In the Saxon capital Dresden, GPs treat significantly fewer patients.
If I need to see a cardiologist, I have to visit my general practitioner 2 villages away for a referral. Then I get an appointment with the specialist, not when I actually feel unwell, but 3/4 of a year later, maybe even a full year. By then, who knows if I'll still be alive or if I'll even need the visit anymore.
For Gerlinde Teichmann, regular contact with her rural doctor provides a sense of security, and Lohmann takes his time with her. Christoph Lohmann knows how important his reliability is to his patients, particularly in remote areas.
In old age, in the countryside, we have nothing. Our total infrastructure consists of a mailbox and a cemetery. Nothing else. We have 350 residents. There's no store, no pub, no restaurant. Nothing. It's terrible.
Ensuring long-term medical care in rural areas is a growing concern for Lohmann.
We are at the threshold of supplying insufficient services. There are days when you can't keep up. If there is a wave of infections, people are queuing outside the practices. The shortage is there, but it can get even worse. There are districts where the supply rates are even worse.
The next morning at Christoph Lohmann's practice, for many he's not just a doctor but also the last connection to social life in the village.
Most of them can't keep going. On the one side it's a physical problem, on the other a logistical one. They live alone, they are socially isolated. We are the last anchor point for some of them, the last person who comes by. As you know, the last things to go are first the store and then the doctor. When the doctor leaves, the village is dead.
Christoph Lohmann experiences rural life firsthand, the loneliness, the lack of prospects. We wondered what could be done to counteract it. Do people feel that politics is offering solutions?
Looking around, unfortunately, I can see the decay. People are getting older, poorer, and it doesn't look like anyone is listening. So politically, I'm disappointed, very disappointed.
They tell us that politics is for people in the cities, not for those here in the countryside. Frustration is high. Ever more voters are turning away from established parties. In the last state elections in Saxony, the far-right AfD performed particularly well in Kallenberg. The party blames many problems on refugees and migrants. On our journey, we met with people who believe Germany and they themselves would be better off with less or no immigration.
So nothing against foreigners, but the people who are coming now, there's just too many. Something should be done about the whole thing. Germany has enough people. There are enough people here that we have to take care of.
The biggest problem at the moment is the economy and immigration. I'm a foreigner myself. I've lived here a long time, but there are really a lot of people here who refuse to adapt.
Others express concern that right-wing populists are exploiting these sentiments, with widespread uncertainty about how to conduct this debate.
I find this overall shift to the right in Europe very problematic.
The problem, as I see it, is if we don't discuss it openly, we leave the field entirely open for right-wing parties.
Recently, several violent crimes committed by immigrants have shocked Germany. Since then, the election campaign has focused intensely on the topic of migration. While some have demanded a turnaround in immigration policy, others are warning against fueling prejudices and fears. We wondered how immigrants themselves might feel in this fraught atmosphere. In the Ruhr region, we met with Abdullah Al-Yaqub. He fled the war in Syria and has lived in Germany for 10 years. He feels that attitudes towards immigrants in Germany are deteriorating.
I'm very scared. For example, if in the future my daughter walks down the street wearing a headscarf, I'm worried someone will insult her or do something awful.
What kind of Germany do you wish for?
I wish for a Germany that is a democratic country, that respects human rights, and where there is no hatred between people who have different religions or skin color.
Zwischen Menschen, die verschiedene Religionen oder Hautfarbe haben.
I wish for a country where people can move freely, without fear.
Abdullah Al-Yaqub is in a special project, training to become a train driver. They're in demand. Germany needs about 10,000 each year. Many industrial companies are based here in the Ruhr area, and it's here that Germany's skilled labor shortage becomes especially apparent. Germany has had 530,000 skilled workers less than it needs. Dietmar Kibbel trains refugees and migrants to become train drivers. He believes that without immigration, the problem can barely be solved.
I'm concerned we're falling behind in training skilled workers, bringing enough into the workforce to revitalize our economy. Hello, everyone.
Dietmar Kibbel is a trainer for a project of the Education and Crafts Foundation. Its goal? To integrate migrants into the workforce while filling gaps in the labor market. Today, he's leading a theory course.
So you're in the first aid module. How's the material? Are you keeping up? Too fast? Too slow?
For me, sometimes the words are difficult, but I'm getting by.
You'll be okay.
Training to become a train driver takes a year. The project began in 2017 and educates about 300 participants annually. Today's a big day for Abdullah Al-Yaqub. He's passed the theoretical exam and can now begin his practical training.
Welcome. It's pretty cold today, isn't it? Today we'll do our practical exercises focusing on shunting.
It's a special moment.
Today is my first day, and I'm really looking forward to it. My co-workers have told me a lot about it, and I think it will be a lot of fun.
Before training as a train driver, Abdullah worked as a chef. As a father of 3, he's now seeking more job security.
So, here we are.
It's slowly growing light. Dietmar introduces Abdullah to Uwe.
Hello, Uwe.
Good morning.
Hello. All good? Today I'm handing over a trainee to you for shunting exercises. He has the theory pretty much down and did well on the theoretical exam. Today he wants to experience the practical side with you. So I'd say just give him a quick briefing.
Okay, so today we're going to do a shunting movement. There are a few things you'll need to pay attention to. So you'll get a radio from me, and I'll give you an assignment. You'll have to move a wagon from track 1 to track 2. Now we'll tell the train driver what we've just discussed.
Abdullah's first day on the tracks begins. He's worked hard for this moment.
Release the brake.
Train 1, brakes. I've received the confirmation. 1 wagon from track 1 over turnout 41 and then shunting it to track 2.
Right, and now you should actually call the signaller.
Here on the training tracks, he can really learn the work of a train driver.
Train 1,
Correct.
Train 1, 4 gears. Train 1, 2 gears.
Abdullah will complete his training in the fall.
A circular motion. Of course, later when you're standing at the front of a train, you'll also expect my signals to be clear. Abdullah is very motivated, wants to do this, and is also learning a lot. During a lesson, especially a practical exercise, you learn a lot more than in the classroom. He's learning a lot, and I'm really happy with him.
Without work, I won't be able to stay here. I would like to work here in Germany, in a job where I'm helping people. When I arrived in Germany, a lot of people helped me. So I want to do what I can to help the people here who helped me.
Abdullah is hoping for openness towards him and others, and for a safe place in German society. He can't vote yet, but he will soon be naturalized. We've come to the end of our journey. People like Dietmar Kibbel, Christoph Lohmann, Christa Lippmann and Hannelore Kieter impressed us. They've carried on where others have held back or turned away. They're creating change where others merely complain.
In rural areas, we mainly wish that people would listen to us, that they would do what they promise.
I wish for a Germany that is more just, where the rich and poor can come together better. My concern is that poverty will continue to grow and increase. We simply want to help as much as we can.
That we genuinely try to give people here the feeling that they're welcome, that they're needed, and yes, that they can find a new home.
Their wish is clear, a dignified life for everyone. Now it's up to politics.